Hey everyone, and welcome back to Between the Lines. I'm Ian Apetian, and today we've got a great episode for you all as we're going to be talking about some of the biggest signings of this summer's transfer window so far. And with that, I do want to start out with the top summer transfer signing so far, in my opinion, and that is Erling Haaland, who just signed with Manchester City for a €60 million release clause from Dortmund. Erling Haaland will be joining Manchester City on the €60 million release clause, and he's going to be earning about 375,000 British pounds per week, which is going to equal Kevin De Bruyne's salary. So luckily for Manchester City there, it doesn't break any of the salary or pay structures, and it doesn't cause any issues in the dressing room between Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland. But this is a really interesting signing because Manchester City, basically since Pep Guardiola started there, they've been saying, look, we need to find a number 9. We need to find a number 9. And they had Sergio Aguero there, but, you know, obviously with his health and his declining condition as an athlete, he wasn't able to carry on there, and he moved away to Barcelona about 1 or 2 years ago. But again, this was kind of that final piece that Manchester City was seeming to be looking for all along. And this was like that last puzzle piece of Pep's magnificent project that he's trying to put together. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Erling Haaland does, because we've really never seen Manchester City playing with a true number 9. But it seems like they're going to be getting that this season in Erling Haaland, and he's definitely going to have to back up this big transfer fee of €60 million. I mean, in terms of statistics, like from last season, in 29 matches in all competitions, he scored 27 goals and bagged out 7 assists in 29 competitions. And so again, you know, this is something that's going to be interesting to see how he backs it up, because we've only seen Erling Haaland playing in the Bundesliga, and sometimes a lot of people can say, you know, there's a Bundesliga curse, that players will only play well in the Bundesliga because it's a farmers league as opposed to the top flight league in England and the Premier League, which is the best league in the world. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fares in the Premier League with the top talents, the top defenders in the world, and the top goalkeepers in the world as well. Another thing that I also want to talk about with Erling Haaland that I think is really beneficial is that with him going into this Manchester City team, Man City's going to have a lot of different dynamics on the attack. Because Erling Haaland is a target man, and because he's fast, and because he's tall, you can do, you know, quite a few things with him. So you can either play him as a target man and kind of as that false 9 going forward. You can have him running into space behind because he's quick, he's tall, so he gains ground quickly on center backs, and he's also strong. But also, you can even cross the ball in and see if he can put his head on it, which most of the time he can because he's a big guy. So I think this transfer, obviously, I think is great in all respects, because not only does it really put that last puzzle piece in there for Man City, but it also gives them a couple of different ways to use him. Just like I said, either as a target man, running into space behind, or putting in crosses, because we know that between Riyad Mahrez, Jack Grealish, even João Cancelo and Kyle Walker sometimes get into the action on crosses. They like to cross the ball, but it just wasn't really working with guys like Gabriel Jesus in the past, or Sergio Aguero in the past, you know? So again, Erling Haaland going to Man City is great on paper, but I think it's even better when you look into the type of player that Erling Haaland is and what he can bring to this Manchester City side that's coming off of a great season when they won the Premier League, 1 point over Liverpool at 93 points. So I hate to say it as a Manchester United fan, but I think Man City has to win the Premier League this season. If they don't, it'll be nothing but a failure, and I think the same goes for the Champions League. I think Erling Haaland now moving from Dortmund to Man City clearly puts the odds in favor of Man City winning, but like we've seen in the past, Man City tends to choke when they get either to the semifinals like this year when they lost to Real Madrid, or to the finals last season and when they lost to Chelsea 1-0. But that is all that I'm going to say about Erling Haaland. Again, I think it's a great transfer for Manchester City. He brings so much to the table for this club, and so it'll be really exciting to see what he does in this 2022-23 campaign. But moving on now, I do want to talk about another big signing. Another big forward is coming into the Premier League, and that is Darwin Núñez. So Darwin Núñez was just signed for a 75 million euro fee plus 25 million euros in add-ons from Benfica to Liverpool. Now, this is a really interesting signing in my opinion, just because Liverpool over the last season or two have added quite a few attackers into their trio, and this trio has grown into 4 or 5 players that are all world-class attackers, but you have to pick and choose who's going to start for you on that day. So Darwin Núñez is coming over from Benfica. He signed a contract until 2028, and in his 2021 and 22 campaign, he played 39 games in all competitions and scored 34 goals and had 4 assists. So he's got a great track record. He's only, I want to say, 20 or 22 years old. But again, this is a very great signing for Liverpool, not only because of the player not only for the player that Darwin Núñez is, but what he can also bring to the table aside from scoring goals. From what I've seen of Darwin Núñez at Benfica, yeah, he's a 9. He's a center forward, but he's someone that can kind of play in that attacking mid role as well. He kind of drops deep, takes a hold of the ball. He can dribble well. He's quick on the ball. He's strong, so he can do well in hold-up play, and also he can attack from the wings as well, which is definitely something to look out for. Now, this is kind of where I look at Liverpool and I say, are they going to pull another masterful signing like with what they did with Luis Diaz during the January and winter transfer window? They signed Luis Diaz over from Porto for a pretty mild-manner fee. I'm not sure exactly what the numbers were, but they definitely got their money's worth out of him as he's brought so much to the table for them. So it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool does with Darwin Núñez as they went back to the Liga NOS back in Portugal to go pick up another forward. But yeah, again, Liverpool is just strengthening their attack, and this is definitely an important signing. Considering that it seems like Sadio Mane is going to leave. He already announced that he wants to leave, and it's just a matter of time until he actually signs with another club. But that's looking like he's going to be signing for Bayern Munich. But anyways, this is a huge signing because it's not going to directly replace Mane, because Mane was the primary he was the primary left winger for Liverpool. But this is definitely going to add some firepower to Liverpool's attack. And on that note, I was kind of sitting back at home, seeing this transfer go through, and I thought, wow, Darwin Núñez is a great player, don't get me wrong, but doesn't Liverpool have quite a few attackers? So in my mind, it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool actually changes their formations or changes their starting lineups. And so I did want to show you guys my projected starting lineup or lineups for Liverpool in this coming 2022-23 season. And as you can see on the screen, I put it out as a simple 4-3-3, which is typically what Liverpool likes to play. Obviously, Alisson's going to be back there. Van Dijk and Gomez are going to be the 2 center backs, but Gomez and Joel Matip, sometimes like to switch out. Robertson on the left, Alexander-Arnold on the right. In the midfield, I put Fabinho as that holding mid because he's just better holding there instead of Henderson, because Henderson can offer things going forward. And then on the wings, I put Salah on the right like he always is and always will be. I put Diaz on the left and Núñez up front. So in this case, you're going to be leaving Firmino on the bench and Diogo Jota, who have both had solid seasons. Definitely Firmino has kind of dropped off, but Diogo Jota, on the other hand, has had a fantastic season. But this is my projected starting lineup should they go with a 4-3-3 formation. Now, my other projected starting lineup should this not be the case, would be that Liverpool actually changes their entire formation and goes into a 4-2-3-1, in which, again, the goalkeeper and the back line stays the same. But in the 4-2-3-1, I would assume that Fabinho and Jordan Henderson will play as the two CDMs, but then you'll have Luis Diaz on the left, Mohamed Salah on the right. Then you would have Diogo Jota as that cam or center forward, in that cam or center forward position. And then on top of that, you would have Nunez at the number 9 position as the striker. So I'm a big fan of the 4-2-3-1 formation just because, in my opinion, it just gives teams balance. But on top of giving teams balance between defense and attack, you get to use all of your attackers, right? In which you're not benching both Firmino and Diogo Jota, and otherwise you'd just be benching Firmino. But in that case, I think that could work well. Only thing is that Liverpool has never played the 4-2-3-1 formation. It's more of a formation that Manchester United typically play, especially when they were under the coaching of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And so either way, though, it's going to be really interesting to see how Liverpool line up, because they're definitely going to have to change a couple things around. And again, if they do go with that 4-2-3-1 formation, I'm not sure if guys like Thiago or Firmino will really get in, considering that Henderson and Fabinho are going to be the two primary holding mids, and that they already have an abundance of attackers. But Liverpool definitely have a lot on their hands to think about. They brought in a great signing in Darwin Núñez. I think he can do fantastic. Again, just like Erling Haaland, I mean, obviously on a different scale, but he's a great dribbler on the ball. He can play on the wing, so he can come in a little bit. And also, one thing that Darwin Núñez brings to Liverpool, which is super insightful, is his heading ability. With the amount of crosses that Robertson and Alexander-Arnold put in, you want to have a number 9 that can get their head on something. And again, I think this is exactly what Liverpool needed. They needed a number 9 that is fast and can get behind players, that can take on players and dribble, but also someone that can put the ball in the back of the net with their head, because Liverpool for the last few seasons have been the highest, have been the team with the most crosses and assists from their outside backs. So it's an undeniable thing to say that Robertson and Alexander-Arnold will continue to put in crosses, quality crosses, and Nunez can definitely get his head on the end of those. So that's the situation for Liverpool right now. I think they're set up really well for, going into this next season, despite losing Sadio Mane. But again, Nunez was the perfect replacement and the perfect addition for this attack. Moving on now, I do want to shift gears and talk a little bit about two players that are having some transfer talks in La Liga, one of which has already made the transfer to Real Madrid, and this is Aurelien Tchouameni, who just signed with Real Madrid from AS Monaco for an 80 million euro transfer fee. And his contract is going to basically run through June of 2028, so that's about 6 years. And when looking at Tchouameni's stats from last season, it's definitely nothing to boast about, only 3 goals and 2 assists, but Aurelien Tchouameni is a box-to-box midfielder. He's someone that is going to work up and down for you. So he's not necessarily going to be scoring a lot of goals because he's a midfielder, but he's also going to be doing a lot of defending as well. And one thing that I really like about this signing is that it really freshens up this Real Madrid midfield, this aging midfield, if you will, with Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro. I think this is a great signing, especially after getting snubbed by Kylian Mbappe. And initially, I thought maybe Paul Pogba could do a good job for Real Madrid, but I think Tchouameni is a great transfer as well. He's a great second option. He's much younger than Pogba, maybe by 5 or 6 years. And that French connection between him and Karim Benzema could prove to be pretty lethal. So we'll see how it does. We'll see how he does. But again, it adds a sense of youthfulness to this midfield because Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro, no matter how good they are, they can't do this forever. And obviously, Real Madrid have the guys that are going to go fill in those spots once these guys move on and retire, which includes Valverde or Camavinga, and now Tchouaméni. But it's going to be interesting to see how Tchouaméni does in his first season, because is he going to get much playing time? We don't know. Considering that Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro aren't really showing signs of slowing down at all, I can't say that Tchouaméni is just going to get inserted straight into that team, unless they want to play with more midfielders or if they get rid of one of these guys. And on top of that, Valverde and Camavinga are there, so there's going to be huge competition for playing time. But then again, Tchouaméni's very young. He's got a couple of years under his belt at AS Monaco. He's got a season or two under his belt with the French national team as well. So he has experience, and it's just a matter of maybe waiting a season or two for him to really flourish with Real Madrid. But again, this is a great signing for Real Madrid. 80 million euros over from AS Monaco to Madrid, and it's definitely a freshening signing for the team. Now going to Madrid's counterparts, FC Barcelona are in a very sticky situation this summer, just as they were last summer when they lost quite a few players, most notably Lionel Messi. Right now, Barcelona is in a huge mess. They keep talking about the fact that they want to sign big players. They want to really continue to rejuvenate their attack and sign players everywhere over the field. Now, they've got financial issues that are unmatchable across the world. Right now, they're at a 4-to-1 ratio. So basically, that means whatever money that they've spent or are going to spend, they need to make 4 times that amount to get out of their debt. So that just tells you how much debt Barcelona has, and if I'm not mistaken, it's over a billion euros. But right now, I want to focus on one guy in particular, and that's Frankie Dion. Right now, Frankie Dion, he doesn't seem very happy there. Even though he did fine under Xavi and had a decent season, he doesn't seem happy at the club, and he's already said multiple times that he wants to be playing Champions League football, right? And, luckily Barcelona is going to be back in the Champions League this coming season, but I don't think he wants to do it there. And one of the newest options for him is Manchester United, which I think would be a great signing for Man U. And I think it would also be great for Frankie de Jong because he gets to reunite with Erik ten Hag, who is the new United coach. And who knows, de Jong could also play alongside his counterpart at Ajax in Donny van de Beek, who should be coming back from a loan spell at Everton. But yeah, I mean, Frankie de Jong, last season it wasn't a great season. He played 47 games in all competitions, only scored 4 goals and 5 assists. But again, he's a bit like your Tchouaméni type of player. He's a box-to-box mid. He's not going to be getting on the stats sheet, but he's going to be doing a lot more within the game and between the lines of, your weekly games, whether that's Champions League or just league play or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds. Barcelona is only listening to offers over 100 million euros, especially because they bought him from Ajax for 86 million euros. So anything at that same amount or less is most likely not going to be taken, considering that Frankie de Jong is a world-class midfielder who is 25 and has a huge future ahead of him should he be in the right system with the right team. So, again, it's a very interesting situation that's going on right now because Barcelona, during the second half of the season with Xavi, it looked like things were really going well, and then all of a sudden Frankie de Jong doesn't seem to be that into it. He seems to be disengaged, and I don't think it would be a bad move for Barcelona. I think it definitely wouldn't be great considering that you got this guy in 2019 from Ajax, paid a big transfer fee for him, and then 2.5, 3 years later he leaves. But then again, Barcelona has tons of midfielders, tons of young players rising through the ranks at the club. Most notably Pedri or Gavi or Nico, those guys that can all fill in and provide a good stable foundation for Barcelona for the years to come. So again, this is going to be it's definitely a tough situation that Barca's in, but they've got to get out of their debt, and I see no other way than selling Frankie Dion or holding on to him and waiting years to get out of their debt, because there's really no one else that they can sell. But anyways, that's all I want to talk about today in terms of transfers. Now, I do want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the new PFA Premier League Team of the Year that just came out a couple days ago. As you guys can see on the screen, there's the team: Alisson in goal, Van Dijk and Antonio Rudiger at the center back position, Alexander-Arnold on the right, João Cancelo on the left. The midfield three includes Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, and Thiago Alcantara. And then up front, you've got Sadio Mane on the left, Mohamed Salah on the right, and then Cristiano Ronaldo right down the middle at that number 9 position. There's two guys in this team that I don't agree with being there. Pretty much for the most part, I agree with everything else, but there's two players that I personally don't think should be there. And that's Cristiano Ronaldo and Thiago. For me, I guess I'll start with Thiago. Personally, I think Thiago is a tad overrated. He's a great passer of the ball. He knows how to calm the game down. He knows how to set the tempo for Liverpool. As we've seen with Liverpool and Bayern, he's a fantastic player that is extremely skilled. But he didn't really do much this season, if I'm being completely honest. He only played in 24 games this season, so he didn't even go the full length of the season of 36 games. Yet he's on this Premier League Team of the Year. And a lot of the time he was coming off the bench for Liverpool, or he was on the bench or not even on the squad due to injury. So, I don't know why the PFA decided to put Thiago in here. Obviously the PFA is voted on from, the players, so the players put their votes in for this, but I just don't get how Thiago made the team. I would much rather see someone like Declan Rice in particular to actually make it on this list, because Declan Rice, he doesn't get enough credit for what he does. He played all 36 games this season for West Ham. He's been the captain for West Ham, and he's really led them over these last 2 to 3 seasons and really established the team to becoming, a team that challenges for that 6th, 7th, and 8th spot in the league. Placing 6th, 7th, or 8th isn't necessarily amazing, but for a team like West Ham, who has the money that they have, and the fact that they don't really spend much, that they're a very academy-oriented team, especially building around Declan Rice, getting into those positions is huge. So I think Thiago could very easily be switched out with Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice deserves to be in the Premier League Team of the Year. And then in terms of Cristiano Ronaldo, I get it. Cristiano Ronaldo is Cristiano Ronaldo. It's kind of like saying, look, what is the Premier League Team of the Year without Ronaldo in it, right? You kind of have to just automatically include him because he's one of the greatest players to ever play the game in the history of the sport. But in terms of numbers, he provided Manchester United with a lot of goals and whatnot, but at the same time, there were guys that were more efficient than him, most notably Heung-min Son, who many people feel, including myself, feel that he was snubbed from this PFA Premier League Team of the Season. So when you look at these stats on the leading goal scorers this season, Heung-min Son in 35 games scored 23 goals and had 7 assists. And remember, he and Mohamed Salah tied for the Golden Boot Award. So they both earned Golden Boot Awards at the end of the season for most goals scored this season. And I just find it mind-boggling that Heung-min Son was not even mentioned or didn't even get a chance to be on this lineup or in this team, you know. See, obviously he played 5 more games than Cristiano Ronaldo, but he had 4 more assists and 5 more goals. So, I mean, you know, maybe it was just because of that position at the center forward spot. Maybe it was kind of like it would be weird if they put Heung-min Son at the number 9 spot when he's not really a number 9. He's more of a winger. And the fact that Sadio Mane was there already on the wing, you know, you couldn't really change that. But again, Heung-min Son, just like Declan Rice, does not get enough credit for what he does for Tottenham. I mean, what he and Harry Kane are doing at Tottenham and have done in the past is ridiculous. I think they're the number 1 duo in terms of assisting and scoring goals between both of them in the Premier League. And I think it's a shame that Heung-min Son didn't make this team because he very much should have. But, you know, that's just how things played out, you know. So, again, there's the PFA Premier League Team of the Year. Again, Ronaldo, I don't agree with being there, and Thiago, I definitely do not believe that he should be anywhere near this Team of the Year. Maybe I'm just a little biased, or maybe I'm just out of whack and on something, but Thiago, I don't believe is good enough to be on this team, and I truly think he's overrated for what he does for Liverpool. But anyways, that is going to conclude this episode of Between the Lines. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. And before you guys leave, make sure to comment down below, like this video, and subscribe down below as well. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. But until next time, see you guys later.